Yo, welcome to SBP Live. Good morning to everybody. Good Sunday morning, wherever you're at, wherever you are. Thanks for checking us out. If you catch us later on the replay, appreciate you doing that as well. As always, I'm your boy Prime. Source is in the building. Source was good.
Still here, still alive. Everything is all right.
So you're good to go. People was getting right crazy last week talking about check on your boy. I say he good. I'll leave the man alone. I ain't worried about him. Some other people that I was worried about, but I ain't worried about. So I know Source is good.
Yeah, I'm straight.
And today's special guest, we got my guy Justin Upshaw is in the house, and y'all know because Justin and I go at it a little bit back in there, but that is my guy. It's gonna always be better. Commander man over there, Cowboy here. He knows Cowboys are better. Source know it too. But that is my guy Justin. Thanks for coming on for the first time, which I hope it'll be of more, man. I hope you come through again.
I hope so too. If depending on all the hate that we get, but depending on no respect.
Well, look, you know how it is in the SBP or any other group, man. It's gonna be hate regardless. We might not go as crazy as some of the other groups, but it's there. It's there. So, but I tell you, at the beginning of this show, you always welcome to come back. There's some other people that's been on here that we, Source and I decide when they can come back. Depends on how we feeling that day if we want to deal with the craziness. But other than that, man, we appreciate you coming through.
Oh, I can be nice when I need to be. I'm chill. I'm cool.
So you going down to you hitting the XFL joint up today, right?
Hell yeah, man! Going to Audi Field tonight. That's gonna be great. It's an 8:00 game. What is it? Seattle Sea Dragons. So let's led by your boy. I'm gonna say that Ben DiNucci, Cowboy fames, and Josh Gordon. They're coming in and picking up with the DC Defenders. Got Jason Tiamu out there, Jordan Tiamu, whatever his name is, Tiamu, whatever. And Abner Smith, I like him. He's a nice power runner. Like no agility, but going in a straight line, he's dangerous.
That's all right, man. That is all right. I might get out before this thing is over and check out a joint. Like I was telling you before we came on, I couldn't really pay attention to what was on last night because we had so much other stuff going on. I said my son had the wrestling pay-per-view jumping. We had NBA All-Star Saturday night jumping, which is tradition in this household. So, between a commercial or two here and there, I flipped, but I didn't really have a chance to get into it. But I'm going to check it out.
ESPN Plus, you'll be able to check it out pretty easy. And I think, what is that, ABC Disney owns too? So that's like the other outlet that'll cover a lot of XFL stuff. But I usually have an extra ticket, though. I got somebody going with me today, but I usually have an extra ticket for the Defenders game. So you're more welcome to come through if you want.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because I might definitely want to do that. No doubt. Appreciate that, my man.
Sure.
Hey, Source.
Yep.
So, real quick before we get into this football, man, let's go ahead and talk about Mac McClung real quick, because what I was tripping off of on social media was the amount of people acting like they discovered gold last night. Like I got Daryl Love. I was like, Daryl, these people just acting like they just telling us something. Like we ain't already know what type of skills, type of hops this man had. So I'm looking at some of the comments. Yeah, you this and that. I told you this and that. I said, okay. I said, all right. Y'all act like most people, at least in VA, don't know who this man is and at least seen the highlights. I've seen him play live twice. Yeah. So I know what he could do.
Yeah, VA with scoring record, broke JJ Redick's single game scoring record and all kinds of good stuff in high school. So, yeah, then he went to Georgetown and Texas Tech. After that, so yeah, he can ball, no question.
When you're 6'2" and you can hit a hezzy like that, you got ups.
Yeah, Wood and the group. Wood Harris was like, "What an impossible." I was like, "Yeah, he did give him the, he gave him the pump. It was enough. It was enough for me to say double pump on that reverse joint."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, his rotation speed. I was like, this dude is a human tornado. Like he just spun his whole body hitting that try. That's 720, man.
Now I will say, like, it was great. I said it 5 times. the first joint was a 180. 180, and the second one was a 360. Dope. We're not gonna say he did a 720. We're not gonna say he did a 540. Stop all that. He was turned the other way. He spun around, dunked it. He kept turning after he dunked it, but that don't count, right? You don't add extra.
I think that was a 5.
Unless you're Eminem, it's the Eminem thing. Boy, his palms are sweaty. Like I told y'all last night, his palms are sweaty. There was all mom spaghetti was all over, but it was crazy. Eminem effect. Man ain't even in the NBA. Yet he is a superstar. They were hollering superstar. I'm like, dog, can y'all relax? Can y'all relax? It was great.
That's
just
the
relax.
Twitterati, man. It's the Twitterati.
Commentators are crazy too.
That's what it was. Yeah.
We found something. Yeah, we got him.
But he did say a star was born for the next 48 hours.
Superstar. I'm like,
maybe on All-Star Saturday night. I'm gonna be honest with you. Call me selfish, but I much as I enjoyed it, I don't know if I want Mac to come back. I want to be able to remember this moment. I don't want no chance of nothing crazy happening. Y'all want to come back to the slam dunk competition, and then
Don't he have to be in the NBA to make it back though? They act like he's a fixture in the NBA. He ain't a fixture in the NBA.
Yeah, that's true, but does it? Or do they change the rules now? Because what's his name's brother was in the All-Star joint, in the skills competition. Giannis. One of his brother.
They had kind of pushed the team Antetokounmpo thing. So I mean, what are they gonna do?
But I'm saying he ain't in the NBA, so one of them is, but the other one isn't. So
I think I heard this morning that it's possible, like Jay Morant might do the dunk contest next year. So that would be pretty hype. Elevate that talent level.
Ja ain't doing nobody dunk contest.
And I mean, I'm just saying. I think he says something to that effect. That's what I heard.
He flew all his people out
I
on
don't
the private
pay that
jet.
to it.
I mean, so
I mean, we watching like we watching.
Maybe he's just trying to sell some extra jerseys. I don't know.
There you go.
Well, regardless of what we saw last night, it was refreshing to see somebody not have to take a billion attempts. That's it. To get this thing done. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is a breath of fresh air. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, breath of fresh air. I don't know if when is the next time we're gonna get that, but that was great. The 3-point competition, that's like, so as I tell you every year, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
The dunk competition side with me a long time ago, but the 3-point competition, I love seeing those cats go out there and jack them up and see who can hit. And Dame Lillard was on fire last night.
Yeah, I guess if anybody was thinking about the fact that Dame went to Weber State, which is not far from Utah, or not from the stadium arena, because the Coliseum, you would have bet on Dame. You would have put your money on Dame just based on that. Not even based on the odds, but just based on that, you would have put your money on Dame.
You get money. So overall, I enjoyed myself, man. But let's get into some football. That's what we're really going to talk about today. While we're here, and let's just go ahead and wrap up last week's Super Bowl. Source, I know it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to turn out. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I think what I enjoyed even more. Let's see. There you go. Put it up.
I wanted the Eagles to win. I mean, I'm just putting that out there.
So you cool.
So I felt that one. I was like, man, they didn't even need to call that penalty, but I'm sure you're going to get into that. I'm sure.
Oh, see,
it was a penalty. Don't get me wrong. By the book, it was. But I mean, let's be honest. In the last, potentially last drive of the game, that's not one you call, especially since it didn't really impede his progress. Just saying, that's it.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I said it on the page. That was definitely a penalty based on the way it's written. But I don't know if I'm not calling that.
There's penalties on every play, though. It's up to the ref to call it.
But you know what they're doing, though? I don't know if you saw it. There's several videos now. And I'm not talking about that play, but the one earlier when it was, was it the second quarter, I think? But it was clear. Brad Bird had grabbed him in the middle of the field and walked off. And it was, when I say it was clear, it wasn't, there's no question on this one, on that one. But a lot of people got going back and pulling that one up. And I said, I get it. I get it. I think it was third down when that happened, I believe. But at the end of a game, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. It's no secret. I was cheering for Patrick Mahomes, but I just hate to see that happen. Period. You know what I'm saying? But it was other than that, I think it was a great game. And we had, what we talk about all the time. When people's teams don't win, I hate to see it. They don't go in there making halftime adjustments. They don't do this. Andy Reid saw something. He saw something because they offensively, they looked like a total different team than they did in the first half. Not that they weren't doing anything wrong. Philly was just playing, really well. But they found a way to get around that. So if you're going to talk about adjustments, at least in that second half, you got to take your hat off to Andy Reid and of course, EB. So Eric Bieniemy. So it was nice, man. It was nice. So
shouldn't have called the penalty. That's all I gotta say.
And what y'all want me to say?
I'm gonna take my hat off. I'm gonna take my hat off.
My ego, they hurt my wallet. Like they just hurt me.
Lost some money. Lost some money straight up. Or we talking about on the parlay? What happened?
Both. Like, I had the Eagles to win outright easily. My parlays were like they were on point up in right till they lost. Like
it was all good.
The money was coming. Like, hey, I'm like, no.
Y'all ever had like the fire pool sheets with all the great numbers, and you think everything is love, and you don't win anything?
Yeah, that's what happened to me when the Commanders played the Browns, and Robinson was getting 6.8 yards to carry, and they stopped giving him the ball in the second half. But that's another story.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, so Patrick Mahomes, man, wow, like the performance he had in the second half was crazy. You think about this guy winning MVP, you know what I'm saying, and didn't throw for 200 yards. He still had 3 touchdowns. The guy is crazy, and I saw a lot of people ranking them in their list of who they have him above or behind. I have a hard time now when I look at the list, just me personally, putting him any lower than 3 already. That's just me. But I think he is just
3 what?
Huh? Number 3, best quarterback of all time.
Really?
That's just, you
have a hard time putting Patrick Mahomes outside of number 3.
Yeah, because I'm looking at everybody's list. There's people that have him listed 5, 6. For some reason he has to win more. I don't know what else they want him to do. 27 years old, you know what I'm saying? Got a couple of rings, been to 3 Super Bowls. I don't know what else he got to do, but
so if Patrick Mahomes goes the next 12 years without sniffing another Super Bowl, he's still number 3?
Depends on what somebody else does. Like
what he's done right now, if he plays another 12 years, he's above who? I don't even know who you have. I'm assuming you have Brady and who do you have second? Manning or Montana?
I got Montana.
Okay, so you got Patrick Mahomes again over Peyton Manning.
I do personally.
That's interesting. I
do personally.
Not the craziest thing in the world, but if he Harold Miner's out, oh, did anybody know that was Harold Miner last night? That's for real quick. Did anybody know? Dog, I saw like 15 different comments this morning. People said at the same time, I didn't know that was Harold Miner.
While you were going live, what was crazy was I got the notification that you were going live. As you were going live, I had just typed it into the group.
Yo, that was crazy. All right. So yeah, that's pretty hot. But the only thing I don't like, not even about that, more about people putting him beside Tom Brady and saying 27 years old, 2 Super Bowls. That thing. I'm like, dog, Tom Brady was a 6th round pick who was not expected to play.
That and
Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City moved up to get him and then traded their quarterback away a year later to get him in the lineup. Why are you comparing these 2 things?
What are you saying,
they shouldn't be compared, honestly. And like me, I'm one of those people that believe in like dividing GOATs and whatnot by eras. Because when Paul Tagliabue was running the NFL, it was not the same NFL as when Raj took over. It's a completely it's not a completely different league, but it's a significantly different league. It's been pushed to have more passing, it's been pushed to have more scoring. So like I feel like there should be a little asterisk after 2006. But that also folds into my whole argument. Like, I agree with Coach Prime. Like, Hall of Fame has become a Hall of Good. Like, there should be an upper floor now for real nerds, you know. But I wouldn't be willing to put Mahomes in my top 3 at this time either. Like, I got to see a greater body of work. But physically talented, but in terms of physical talent, easily top 3. I put him up there with the likes of probably like Randall Cunningham in terms of like pure physical talent, and who would be the other person? Probably Dan Marino in terms of, again, pure physical talent. So, but in terms of body of work, I mean, it's already impressive, but again, it's a different league now. So I got to see a whole lot more before I buy it. But he's definitely doing things that nobody's ever seen before. And like, I'm still mad over that anonymous defensive coordinator that said when things break down, he just plays street ball. Like, nah, he may be changing the game, but he's not changing it in a bad way. He's just not staying inside your box, and he's making things happen. And that's what he's paid to do. So I ain't even trying to hear that mess. But anyway, so.
I think one of the reasons, that was great, Justin. I think one of the reasons that I already have him so high, and I'm not a guy that's just on recency bias, but my thing is to see already what he was able to accomplish. And again, it is a different area in the game's called a different way. Accomplished, especially this year, when everybody outside of 1 or 2 people in the group, and one of them happens to be an actual Kansas City fan, was saying when Tyreek was gone, that was it. That was they're going to need him. They're going to need him. I want to see. Go back to the other one. He had to save him against the Bengals. I mean, Buffalo, all this. And I'm like, yeah, there could be some drop off. I say, but this guy, kind of like Tom Brady, is out here making stuff happen with people you can't really name anymore, unless you just got them on your fantasy team, or they just happen to play for your team. You're a Green Bay fan. Oh, I remember MVS. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Brady. You go back over the years. Yes, he had Gronk. Okay. My man's got, he's got Kelsey, right? But go look at the rest of them receivers. And granted, I understand it was just 1 year without Tyreek Hill, but I'm just saying. You go through Brady's career and look at all those people he's winning Super Bowls with, and you got to sometimes Google to remember half these guys that he was throwing the football to. No, 3/4 of the guys more than likely.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think to this point, we've got to give him some credit for that. They've never had, in his tenure, they've never had the most explosive running game. They've had an effective running game. They were able to get some things done last week. And then if you look at it, they've never had the great defenses on the other side. They've had good defense. Go back since he's been there. They've had great or good players. We talk about Chris Jones. I brought up the fact last week about Frank Clark being number 3 all time in playoff sacks. Right, and most people didn't even know that. Yeah. Right. They had the Honey Badger, but when he was there, they weren't great. They were always sitting around. Defensive efficiency 24, 25th in the league. But they're still able to go to 5 straight AFC championship games. They're able to win 2 out of 3 Super Bowls. To me, that just, for me personally, that bumps him up. Yeah. Right? We know he's throwing to a Hall of Famer. Arguably, some people have him now, especially have him as the GOAT. That's his conversation. But other than that, we talking about putting, and not to take anything from Peyton Manning and these guys, but he certainly had Hall of Famers on his offense.
We're gonna shout out Donovan McNabb since we're talking about AFC championship. You just say you went to 5 AFC championships. Okay, McNabb went to 4 AFC championships. I'm just saying people say that as a negative as opposed to a positive, and you're taking it as a positive. So I'm saying it as a positive for Donovan McNabb. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Whoever posted this right here, I'm just going to throw it real quick because
you know who posted. Oh no, you actually don't.
That's why I was struggling. I was trying to decide between him and Elway, because he was the first, quote unquote, like in that era, that 2000 era, that running quarterback. So yeah, I had a really hard time with that, but I think Dan Marino makes the better throws. I think his arm talent is strictly better. But he just wasn't somebody that was inclined to run. But then again, he didn't really have to. He just needed help at receiver and tight end, which he never got through his career. But that's another story.
That man won't run in nowhere. Talk about Peyton Manning not running.
Yeah, Elway, I was going to, so as you know how I feel about Elway. I argued until this Patrick Mahomes phenomenon thing it came along that Elway is one of the GOATs, but he's one of the most disrespected. He doesn't get the respect. People are quick to throw up. Well, he didn't win a Super Bowl until TD got there. Nah, he didn't. But if we're putting respect on his name, we have to put respect on his name based on the fact that he didn't have a whole lot either, if you really think about it. Like, he had a couple of names on defense, like Patrick Mahomes has had the past couple of years. And they would call him the Orange Crush a lot because he had those orange jerseys, but they weren't particularly great. I mean, Atwater would lay you out. Smith was decent. You might get them, but they weren't great. Running backs. Most people can't go back and think of any of the running backs that played with them. I mean, I can't because I watched them. And even though they had those receivers, most people can't name. They don't remember Vance Johnson or Ricky Nattil, you know what I'm saying, or Jackson. So I just want to throw that in there. I think Elway is one of the most disrespected, great quarterbacks that we've ever had.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, but let's talk about this though. I think we didn't talk about that enough. Let's go ahead and talk about this. The topic of the week in the group and out of the group, of course. And Justin and I talked about this real good during the week. Let's talk about your man's right here, Eric Bieniemy, man. Source.
I've been fighting everybody on this one.
You like that? You like that position?
Before I get to Justin, because he and I talked, and I've heard actually what he recorded, which I think was really great. I want to ask you, because we haven't talked about it. Anybody that's in the comments, feel free to chime on in. Was this the right move? Did Eric Bieniemy make the right move?
For himself? All right. The right move. The right move? Yeah. I mean, I feel like the man has paid his dues as far as beside Andy Reid. And if Andy ain't going, even if Andy went, it's still not a guarantee that these people were going to hire him. There's no guarantee. Who knows? Clearly, he has not impressed enough people to get that nod as a head coach after numerous interviews over the past, 4 years or so, 3-4 years. And the Washington team was willing to raise his status, and I'm sure his pay.
Oh yeah,
I think he was asking for $2.5 million. I'm pretty sure they gave it to him. I don't have any cutesy details on that one.
Right.
So I gotta say yes. He got the assistant coach tag, and thinking that Washington is probably going to have new ownership soon. Who's to say that the Ron Rivera era won't be over as soon as that new ownership shows up? And they're like, here you go, Eric. Congratulations. You are the head coach of the Washington Commanders.
All right, Justin.
I think there's a possibility of that, and I'm sure that entered into the equation. But the point that I've been making to people, and for the record, I actually don't want to fight everybody. I'd rather they just agree with me. but anyways, but I mean, I see why he did it. I understand that, leaving, a championship franchise for the dumpster fire that Washington tends to be. He has to be able to, he's in the shadow of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. He has to be able to show that he can do just as much, or at least more with less. And just like a real quick backtrack, like an offensive heavy team, like the Kansas City is able to do it because they have a pass rush. If you're going to put all your money in the offense, at the bare minimum on the defense, you got to have a pass rush. But I think Bieniemy saw that, at least in Washington, like the skill position players are really good. You got a great 1-2 punch in Gibson and B-Rob, and I love B-Rob. I stand B-Rob. And like one of the best wide receiver rooms in the league, honestly. They just haven't had anybody that could really get them the ball on time. And I thought it was really funny when Sam Howell was playing in week 18, like the drops or the misses I saw from the wide receivers, I think they honestly weren't expecting the ball to be put on them that fast. Like, I seriously think
we ain't
that's why
seen this
they
in
were dropping
years.
the balls. And like I finally worked Kevin Sheehan's nerves enough that he finally responded to me on Twitter. I was like, you just been out here.
Wow.
I was like, you've been out here disparaging Sam Howell, and like the Packers are hating on Aaron Rodgers. You've been calling for all them, but oh, look at that. Bieniemy, who you thought was a hire that the Washington Commanders couldn't get, is actually high on Howell and thinks he can be a QB1 and can be a franchise QB. And like, and that just thrills me to death because I am Team Sam Howell. And really, if you look at the sustained success of the team now, accepting a couple of times where there were some plug and plays, the teams that have sustained success are built from the ground up and inside out. They don't go and make those splash plays, grabbing a guy or two, unless like that's the one piece you need, like bringing Randy Moss into New England or bringing Tyreek Hill if Tua didn't keep getting concussed, to Miami. Things like that can completely turn your team around. But generally speaking, you gotta build your team, you gotta build your culture, you gotta make sure the guys fit what you're trying to do. But unfortunately, we also have Scott Turner calling plays, and that dude loves trying to shove a square peg in a round hole. Like he does not play to his guys' strengths. But that is something that from the Andy Reid coaching tree is known to be very common among coaches that come off that tree. They adjusted their players as opposed to expecting their players to adjust to them.
Indeed. And you mentioned talking about Sam Howell. Are you 100% convinced, Justin, that they're not going to make a move? I mean, they've been relatively quiet. We're hearing all these quarterbacks floating around, possibly either thinking about if they're not going to retire, the teams might be growing tired of them, or the situation where they're going to do certain things could be better for the team. We got somebody out there who just got released, who wanted his release, and the team wanted to release him, and he's out there. Are you surprised that Washington is seemingly not interested, haven't been interested to this point, to getting in the game as a veteran quarterback?
Only because of the front office's tendency to try and make splash plays. Am I surprised? Mm-hmm. Like, that is it. I think the common sense move is to try and give Howell a chance because, I mean, even in a game with his receivers dropping passes and facing what is honestly one of the better defenses in the league, he showed up. He did his job. So, I mean, you got to give that guy an opportunity to prove that he can do the job long term. He has QB1 talent. He has the ability. But in order to find out if he has the capability, he's got to play. So, like, I'm very much in favor of seeing Howell play some more. As far as what they do with the backup quarterback situation and Heineke, that remains to be seen. But I fully expect Bieniemy to try and find a guy. Like, I know Chad Henne just retired, but maybe find a guy that's at least familiar with what he may want to do. And I'm sure he's going to have a lot of say in a QB. Because, I mean, I do believe they'll pick up a late round QB, round 5 or 6 maybe. Somebody that also fits what Bieniemy's looking for. But they still got to get a veteran presence in there. So I'm hoping with this new opportunity, maybe they can sweet talk Chad Henne into coming out of retirement to kind of provide that mentorship. He just retired. He's 37. But that's not old, according to Tom Brady. So, hopefully he can go out there and ride that pine for at least a little bit and provide some mentorship.
Would you be surprised if they moved up from number 16 and took a quarterback in the first round?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be angry enough I would quit the team. I would absolutely do it. They're just doing too much. They're just doing too much. Ron always says trust the process, but when they make moves like that, they're not showing that they're trusting the process. So that inconsistency is why Washington was watching the wild card playoffs, because honestly, they should have beat out the Giants to make it there, but they didn't because once again, there was a lack of consistency in terms of how the front office is run. And that's been one of the biggest issues. And yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I think Mike was right, or Source was right, that there's a possibility that they're going to say, you know what, we're done with Ron because we see what he does and it's mediocre at best. I like to call him life coach Ron. He's not I don't respect him a whole lot as a head coach, but as a life coach, man, those dudes will run through a brick wall for him. I love Ron. I just don't love him as the head coach. I'm ready for him to go ahead and mosey on into a GM role or, president, player, person, whatever he's going to do. But I need somebody that's a little bit less rigid. And I think that's been his thing. Like, he's a very rigid guy.
Yeah. Well, you know my stance on it. We talked about it. This could work out. Let me kind of backtrack a little bit so people in the group that will comment off of what I said will get it. First of all, I wish the man nothing but the best. Okay. And yes, this move could go right. It could go right. And I applaud him for betting on himself, right? Because he had made it clear with Kansas City that he wasn't going to do another 1-year deal, whatever, and go out here and see what he could get. And he does feel he has to prove himself that to people. And I know people say, what are you talking about? You got to prove himself. Well, obviously, there is a stigma that outside of everything else that he's had going on in his personally, that we can go back and look at for reasons he might not have gotten hired, things that have happened back in the late 80s and 90s and so on, that people are finding out that supposedly he's really not the play caller. He wasn't the play caller. Andy Reid was calling the plays. All right. So he has to go out. He can go out here and prove that, hey, I can call plays too. I can be successful without a Patrick Mahomes or under Andy Reid. And he also got the assistant head coach tag, right? Uh-huh. If I saw that correctly. So, yeah. What I think people have to understand, though, is those of us, too, that have been rooting for him as a coach, and especially a black man getting a job, is it's not so much that he went to that it's Washington, but it's been the state of the team recently with everything that's going on. You guys both mentioned the fact of we don't know what the ownership is going to be. And so they're not in place now. We don't know what their patience is going to be with him if he ends up being the head coach, right? He's already fighting enough, whether you think it's his fault that he's not getting the job or not. If this thing goes left, and I know you can say if about any job, but with the amount of things that Washington is dealing with right now, Howell could work out. But right now, nobody's thinking like he is that quarterback, right? Nobody outside of Washington is really thinking he's that quarterback. There is talent at receiver. There's talent at running back. The offensive line, to me, from what I've seen, is needs a lot of work.
It does. And KC fixed theirs in a year, and they got the right guy for it.
You know, if it does not go right and they're not patient with him, does he get scapegoated? You know, people look at this situation and say, well, instead of taking it for what it is, and we know whether it's fair or unfair, this happens in the league. Is he the reason? You know, he couldn't get that offense going over there. Maybe it was the quarterback. Maybe it wasn't Andy Reid. And I see the comments that people say, well, he can just go be an offensive coordinator somewhere else. Are y'all sure? The man had to fight to get to the position that he is in now. If things go terribly wrong in Washington, man, his next stop might be a quarterback's coach. There's no guarantee he's going to get an OC job if this doesn't work out in Washington. There is no guarantee. So whereas I do applaud him for gambling on himself and making the proper move to put him in position, I do. I honestly do. For making this move and going to Washington, if this thing goes terribly wrong, he's not one of those coaches based on all the reasons everybody say they don't want to hire him, that he's a shoo-in, that he's just going to go somewhere else and get at least another OC job. You know, they won't hire him to be a head coach now. This goes left. I'm telling you, him just getting an OC job somewhere else is not going to be that easy. May not be that easy.
I can see that, but you're right. That's what he's doing. He's gambling on himself. Mm-hmm. That's what he's doing. And if this works out for him, and I do believe it will, and of course I'm biased, but I do believe he will. Well, I mean, I criticize Commanders too, but you get it. I mean, yeah, he's a HC in 2024, whether it's in Washington or somewhere else. I mean, I think that the new ownership will come in and they'll let this year ride out, so they'll kind of see what happens. But yeah, I mean, the offense goes from 26th in yards to 6th in yards. I mean, yeah, he's got a really good shot of at least staying, but he's probably going to get that promotion because they're going to be like, all right, Ron, we've seen enough of your 8 and 9 seasons. We're going to try a different direction.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. All I'm saying is, if I would feel a little more comfortable for him if the future ownership was already in place, at least. Yeah, that's my thing. You don't know what anybody's going to be thinking that's coming in. We just know what the current ownership is feeling right now.
I think it's also going to depend on which owner you get. Like if Harris or whatever his name is gets it, who's running multiple franchises right now, I think it's a whole lot more likely that he makes changes because he has his finger more on the pulse of how professional sports works.
Mhm.
But if, say, Bezos swoops in, he's an analytics guy. He has data. Like he may already have his data, knows exactly what he wants to do. But being a bit of a neophyte, I think it's going to be I think he will choose the wise path because obviously he's really good at making smart decisions. I think he's probably going to wait, the next season and then do whatever coaching changes or office changes that need to happen.
No doubt. Real quick, NBA note, we'll slide back in. This came across that Kevin Love signing with the Heat, Miami Heat.
Really?
Yeah, that just came across my screen just now.
Huh.
Yep. So.
Yeah, that's right. I did hear about his buyout, but I didn't know about the signing.
Yep, it just popped up. Adrian Wojnarowski, I believe it was. Came down my screen. So, but we will see what's going to happen in Washington, though. So it's funny that, of course, those of us that are not Washington fans, especially the Cowboys, right? You got a guy that everybody universally likes, that everybody thinks is hating on right now, going to a franchise that we're going to root against, but then we want that man to do well. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. But shout out to EB, and hopefully it does work out for him on that. We're coming up close, guys, to time for the franchise tag. So there's a couple of questions, a whole lot of questions out there, right? But two that have been circulating in the media here recently. One of them, and I was trying to, as you and I were discussing just before Source came in, trying to get one of my New York Giants guys on, but this is just a crazy day for everybody, right? But you've got Daniel Jones is due up, and so is Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley kind of had a comeback season after the injury. He played really, really well this year. Daniel Jones actually ends up having his best year. If you guys were to think, gamble and think which one of these guys would probably get the franchise tag, who do you think it would be?
That's got to be DJ.
You think it's got to be Daniel Jones?
Yeah, I mean, even though I would prefer Saquon Barkley because I feel like he would be the more consistent player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the QB, the most important position in sports, as they say. So, I mean, you're not going to let a guy walk that also had a bounce back season. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a whole lot harder to find than a talented running back. I mean, you get QBs drafted early all day, every day. But for a running back to get drafted in the first round, he better be Derrick Henry. So, like, that's so. I mean, you gotta hoard your gold on that one.
Hey, so they got you look at these numbers. So Daniel Jones on the tag, I believe, would be roughly about $32 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they try to work out a contract, they believe the contract will be somewhere between 35 to 38 a year. What you think?
That sounds crazy.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones.
Just for context, if Saquon got the tag, it'd be about $12 million for the season.
I can't even speak to this, man, because, dude, do you have enough faith? Do you have the faith in Daniel Jones to continue to grow? Not even stay at where he was in his best season. Well, probably his best season last season. Last season, whatever. Do you really trust Daniel Jones? Do you trust Daniel Jones going forward?
But if you franchise him just for one season, you can go back at it.
But that's still a lot of money.
But why would you do that?
Season. Like, that's a big salary.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, they only got $46 million in cap space.
Give me Saquon. Give me Saquon to block.
But this is the thing, guys. This is what we got to understand. So and I agree with what you guys are saying, but you think about it. To this point, we haven't heard anything about them in another quarterback either, right? So you franchise.
There's $1 million of them,
huh?
There's $1 million of them. $6
So
million
you're just saying,
choose one.
If they don't make a move, then he's got to be off this team. Because think about it, $32 million on the franchise tag, or sign him to a contract that's going to be between 35 to 38. And if you're saying that, you don't know, do we trust him? And this should give him another year.
The good news is I don't think it's going to come to a franchise tag.
You don't think so?
I think they're going to resign him.
Let's go ahead and resign him.
I hope
I
they.
think they're going to resign him.
I hope they do.
Yeah, so then they leave Saquon out here, which will be interesting. If you tag him, it's $12 million for the season. And then you decide if you want to get back at it after that. Because we are getting to a point, guys, where folks are talking about us, folks not spending a lot of money on running backs anymore.
And that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, they take a lot of damage, and their careers aren't as long. You're just not going to make. That's not a sound investment.
Indeed. That's going to be something that's fun to watch. I wish I could have got one of my Giants guys on here, but that's going to be interesting. But you want to try to stay as stable as possible. I mean, they had a pretty good season under Brian Dable, so we shall see. We'll see how things go. Let's see what Justin popped out. I guess he'll pop back on here in a second. But that's going to be an interesting one right there, Source. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I know it's a lot of money. If I'm not going to make a move to go grab somebody else, I think I might throw the tag on Daniel Jones this year. That's just me. So let me ask you about this. Not that you really give a darn, right?
Must be Cowboy. Oh yeah.
Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys because that is heavy. That is heavy on social media right now, and whether or not Zeke first is going to be a Dallas Cowboy after this season, and there's also being talk about are they going to use the tag on Pollard. And because the only other candidate realistically to get the franchise tag would be a tight end would be Dalton Schultz. So most people like, now we don't need to re-franchise him. But in your opinion, to Zeke or not to Zeke, Source?
Might as well let him go. Let him go, baby. Can somebody call Ron Dane? Is Zach Crockett available? Can somebody reach out to Mike Allstott? Anybody.
Ron Dane was my cousin by marriage. They used to call him Little Ronnie.
Dog. Long time ago, when I had hair, there was a lady that used to braid my hair. She brought up this man who swore he was Ron Dane's real daddy. I got that. Yeah,
it was like a chihuahua, wasn't he?
Small man, small. Ron Dane, my son. He was just like, I was like, wow, is it, sir? Is it? But anyway, yeah, really happened. That's kind of wild. Yeah. I know Prime. I know Zeke is close to your heart, and I know before we finish talking about this story, Prime is gonna mention how great a blocker Zeke is in the passing game. Because he always does. But, sir, why? Let the brother go. Let the brother go. What are we doing? What are we doing at this point?
Let Elliot go.
So as far as Tony Pollard and the Cowboys are franchise tagging, or you think they're going to go ahead and give him a contract?
Go on, get that man some money, man. Go on, get that man that money.
You sure?
No. But I mean, it's your squad. But yeah, I mean, you don't trust him, or you just trust him as long as Zeke is there to be an insurance policy.
No, I like him as a playmaker. I'm fine with whatever. I just don't want to end up in another Zeke situation. You know what that contract looked like. The man had an okay season 2 years ago, had one pretty good season, even though he couldn't find the end zone for whatever reason towards the end of the year. But he's a proven to be a dynamic playmaker. Now you mentioned about Zeke being a blocker. He ain't even close to the blocker that Zeke is. No matter how much value Zeke has lost to the, has lost in the rest of the Cowboys' offense. But unpopular opinion, in Zach's hopefully his Dak's redevelopment in this Zeke West Coast offense. I would probably use the franchise tag on Dalton Schultz again. I know it sounds crazy to franchise a tight end 2 years in a row, but we all seen what he means to Dak Prescott. And Dak is going to be there. We can talk about Tony Pollard all we want, and I like Tony Pollard. Man is explosive. When you talk about a quarterback that's got obvious issues, bro, and the one person that he does trust, and then 95% of the time is going to catch the football and is pretty good at it, like really good at it, as we saw in the playoffs, is Dalton Schultz. So most Cowboy fans think I'm crazy, but I would probably use a tag on Schultz.
No, not crazy at all. We know that's Dak's most trusted target. Shoot, I know that from Haterville over here.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Justin, you think to Zeke or not to Zeke for the Cowboys?
Nope. Let him go.
Now let him go.
Let it go. Yep.
What if he takes a massive pay cut?
Don't matter.
Why would he do that?
He might stub his toe. Then they wasted the money anyway.
Well, of course,
why would he do
that? Now it depends on what he can get out here. I mean, he's obviously, no matter what you think about Zeke, he gets cut. He's gonna be playing football next year for somebody. Whether
the DC Defenders. No, they stop.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Zeke. Whether he is the feature back or in a system, more likely a system, he'll be playing football next year if he's not the Dallas Cowboy.
Actually, I strongly believe that if they cut him, he ends up in Kansas City because he's going to replace McKinnon. That would be what would happen there because there's some rumblings that McKinnon will make his way over to Washington now. But even still, being a veteran running back, he may be on the verge of retirement after collecting yet another ring anyway. But I don't know. I mean, Pacheco can really do the power running himself. Mm-hmm. But I can see Elliott wanting to hold out for a ring, and that would definitely be a direction he'd go, especially if he's going to take a pay cut. Because, just so you know, Dallas ain't winning no daggone Super Bowls for like 20 years.
He knows.
Can we save a 2 years off of that? Yeah,
it's gonna be dry as California, bro.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, so he'll be on the team next year, whether he's in Dallas or not. His skills have diminished, but not to the point that he just can't play football. I mean, he just short of 900 yards this year with Pollard in the backfield, and you just can't replace, throw somebody in the league who just scored 12 touchdowns, bro. Say what you want to about Zeke. He ain't the Zeke that sacrificed his body so Dak could be great all these years. Remember, Dak, there was a time that Dak couldn't win a game without him. That's attributed to a lot of what we see in him now. But he's not garbage, bro. He might mess around and be in Philly. You got 2 running backs over there that's free agents as it is, man.
Sanders is still under contract.
Do you hear my
Sanders is free agent, I believe.
Do you hear the violin, the Zeke violin playing?
So if you don't think he's good enough to play in the league anymore?
Sure, he'll play. He'll play based on his name. If Melvin Gordon can still get a job, Zeke can still get a job.
Man, how dare you put Zeke in the conversation with Melvin Gordon?
Why? At least Melvin Gordon got a ring.
You didn't even know Melvin Gordon was this character.
I mean, Elliott sharing the backfield and with injury still getting 900 yards is not that bad.
And with the
there's hope. But I mean, the thing is, how much? It's going to depend on his contract demands. I mean, I think he's going to want to stay in Dallas for some reason.
Well, he wants to,
and they're probably going to want to, and they're probably going to want to resign him. But yeah, like you said, like he's going to have to take a considerable pay cut to do it. And is he going to want to do that in the twilight of his career? Does he really believe we them boys? And they're going to somehow win the Super Bowl with Defensive Player of the Year Dak Prescott throwing the football. Oh. So I mean. Is he playing defense too?
He plays center.
He don't need no whole lot of help though, bro. Not a whole lot. Just a couple of spots.
Hold on, he plays center. Don't trip. He play them positions.
Hey, man, I ain't gonna let y'all keep coming for 21, man.
There you go.
But as Justin said, he's not a Cowboy yet. Send him over there with Mahomes. Get him a ring. And that's gonna be that. You know what I'm saying? So. Couple of more things, guys. Let's see what we got up here next. What about where do I want to go next on this? Oh, I should have asked this question earlier because your boy was getting money in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl with this quarterback sneak play, which nobody could stop. Now the league is talking about looking at this and seeing what modifications can be made, or if they're going to allow this at all. So I guess we'll still have a quarterback sneak, but you just can't push the quarterback no more. So it's how you feel about that.
Well, Justin and I actually, I think, talked about it in the group. because I said that it's kind of a, in the moment response to something. I was looking at it as they were trying to punish, not really punish, but slow down the offensive ability to use this particular approach.
Mm-hmm.
But Justin brought up a different point, which was, do you remember what you said?
Oh wow! I thought I was gonna let you. I was gonna let you roll with it. My bad. But yeah, it's basically two things. One, the league was complaining about scoring being down anyway, so they're definitely not going to do something to reduce scoring unless there's an ulterior motive, and we know that motive is the $10 billion that they make a year. So they're going to want to protect their quarterback. Patrick Mahomes was seriously injured a couple years ago on a quarterback sneak, so they're not going to want them tush pushing into a bunch of 300-pound men and getting them all twisted up. So really, it's just an attempt to protect their QBs. I mean, shoot, even Tom Brady only did it like to win the games.
Yeah.
So like he understood it was it's dangerous for somebody who's really not used to taking that sort of punishment. Hence why there's so many rules protecting the quarterback. And I believe that this is exactly that. They're not doing the defense any favors.
Yeah, I saw the injury. I saw them talking about injuries too. They were worried about not just the quarterback, but some of the players along that line, because they said that a lot of times teams run it and the other team is not even set yet. They hurry to get into that formation. People not set and rolling up on people's legs and ankles and things.
Yeah, there's a lot of ankle injuries, like sprains and high ankle injuries like that occur for the interior line from like the tackles falling on them and rolling on those ankles and stuff. So, trying to reduce the traffic in there.
If we're doing all that, then we gotta look at linemen picking off DBs at the end of plays, or picking off whoever at the end of plays down the field, because it's the same thing. It's actually worse because that's in the midst of actual action. This is a quarterback sneak, and everybody knows what's happening and knows what's going to happen, and it's in a smaller circumference. But when it's down the field and you're getting blindsided by a 300-pound lineman, or they come in and push at the end of those plays, like, what's the difference? And you're getting a running start? Come on now. Like, that's kind of crazy if that's not considered as well.
Man, so it's just saying that because nobody stopped Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts was so effective on that source when they had it a paint.
They aren't concerned about the DBs. They're stopping the score from going up.
Obviously, nobody could stop it, period, except for Jalen Hurts dropping the ball on the ground. So,
Oh man!
Oh, here we go. There we go.
Really, you had to do it this game. This game, you had to do that.
Hey, look.
Listen.
Like the Eagles' offense actually played a perfect game. Like they were excellent, but except for like that one mistake. Like the game should have been won. There was I think it was 2 key mistakes. One with the penalty by the refs. But yeah, but that one recovery for a touchdown, man. Because I mean, the Eagles outperformed the Chiefs. The Chiefs just took advantage of key moments.
Now, real mistake, as great as the game was, the real mistake was not being able to make the proper adjustment defensively to stop some people in the second half. We can call it what it is. I agree on the call. Those people were 13 or 14.
Listen, man.
Ran a near perfect offense. Somebody made an adjustment to have, somebody didn't.
It's been almost an hour, and I haven't said anything about this game.
Oh, look, I'm
now,
y'all keep bringing it up. Y'all brought it up.
Hey, bruh, how do they run the same exact set? So it's 3 times. 3 times. First time is with Kelsey. You see the switch, touchdown. They come back to it in the second half, twice with the exact same look. Both times. Forget the fact that the receiver was wide open. Forget the fact that nobody covered him. Both defenders are on the inside of the inside receiver. How is that?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, man.
Like, what did you think? The first time I was like, man, that was a great call. That was a great call, like, because it was out of the blue. It seemed out of the blue. It was a great call. And he went back down the line. He didn't go up the field. He didn't make it easier. But looking at the whole play, you see both DBs are all the way inside. But the second time, Sky Moore comes in motion, inside DB, I forgot who it was, jumped, dog. By the time Mahomes got the ball, he was over top of the center. The DB was over top of the center. What? Who are you covering? Who are you covering?
Dude did a river dance into the end zone. That had me hot. I was like, if that happens again, this game is over.
Yeah,
and it happened again.
Hey, listen,
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Shoot, and speaking of that
I'm
source,
itching.
yeah, and we ain't even talk about it, and we ain't got to get into it, but y'all got a ton of free agents because you remember last week when we were talking, and I didn't say it was going to happen. I said I believe you guys need to be up by more than 10 going into the fourth, but I did bring up the offensive line. So they only got one person on that offensive line that played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And they did a phenomenal job. I was quick. I had decided already before the game was over. They were the real. They win. Those were the real MVPs of this game, right? Now allowing that defense to sack Patrick Mahomes. But when you look along that line, they got a ton of free agents, man, and that defense. Man, you got Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Sue, Hargrove, and in the secondary, we didn't brought up Bradbury. You got Bradbury. You got Chauncey Gardner. Johnson, it's a lot, and then both coordinators gone. So we're gonna see how Sirianni handles all this and the organization. But I will admit, I got a newfound respect for that dude. I didn't think I liked him at first. I like Sirianni, man.
Prime, you liked him because he cried during the national anthem.
Oh gosh, please don't get me started on that.
Hey man,
he won't even cry, dog. Jesus poured buckets of water out of the sky.
Man.
How you even cry that much in one moment?
Well,
that was crazy.
I know that might not be everybody's cup of tea. I'm hip hop till I die, but I listen to all types of music. I think Chris Stapleton did a great job, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Chris Stapleton is dope.
He did his thing.
Let me put on the old veteran cap for the anthem debate. No, but Chris actually did a legit job. Like I was like, okay.
That's somebody.
But it still ain't nothing we're crying over. But this isn't a social justice podcast, so I'm not gonna get started on that one. But y'all got me about to take a knee right now. That's all I'm saying.
That ain't what Sirianni was crying about. He won't cry about none of that. Speaking of which, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm putting your business in the street, Justin, and it's okay. I mean, the world knows, right? The world knows. This man is a military veteran. Just throwing it out there. Military veteran. Afghanistan twice?
No, it was Iraq.
Iraq twice.
Yeah.
Iraq twice.
Iraq once. I was in Kuwait the other time. But I did do 2 deployments, but I only went to Iraq once.
2 deployments. At least I got that part right. 2 deployments.
Yeah.
So, respect.
I don't talk a whole bunch. It's cool.
Just throwing it out there. So, appreciate your service. Boom.
Oh, yeah. You got it.
Yeah, no doubt. Respect. Very last thing, and there's nothing big. Well, let me ask y'all this real quick. Because Source, I know you said you didn't like it.
Tupac. Oh, no, sorry.
No, we ain't talking about Aaron Rodgers. Tiki Barber made some comments the other day about Aaron Rodgers and said that basically he couldn't handle the New York media and people screaming about him coming to the Jets. You don't buy it?
It's not so much I don't buy it. It's the fact that people like to use trigger words for a personality trait that people on both sides of whatever the word's argument is, people on both sides do the same thing, but differently. So if you do it, if you're, let's see, he said sensitive, right? Was sensitive the word?
I think it was sensitive.
Sensitive, soft, one or the other. Let's say sensitive. So Aaron Rodgers responds to what people say is sensitive. Charles Oakley responds to what people say it's not sensitive because he hard and he gonna fight you. So
yeah,
is it not sensitive? So what is the sensitive part? Responding, because both sides respond. It's like people don't understand that anger is an emotion. I'm sorry to point this out to people that don't understand. Anger is an emotion. So just because you want to fight somebody for whatever they say or whatever they do, that's your response. It's no different than what Aaron Rodgers does. It's still your emotional response to what is happening. Now, fighting, that's one side, but you look at that as being tough as opposed to whatever you might say Aaron Rodgers does. Plus, he's a quarterback. Plus, you're going to say he's a diva. So you got all of that on top of the fact of, he I don't know if he's getting in the streets and brawling with everybody. But that being the case, it's the same thing. And I don't like when people use words like that and they're trying to trigger an emotional response, even though everybody gives that same emotional response in different ways. That's it. That's all.
Well, I can say Aaron Rodgers will definitely melt if he goes to any of the major media markets. He's going to melt. Do you want to be a snowman, Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, that's right.
I agree. And speaking of snow, last thing we got, and it's not
Cocaine? Snowfall? What are we talking about?
Oh no, snowfall does return this week, my people.
Okay.
There we go. Snowfall.
Oh yeah, we got another vortex coming in, so brace for some cold weather coming up here in the next week.
What we doing? Meteorology? What'd you say?
There's another polar vortex coming through, so brace for some more cold weather. About a week.
Man, I don't know what country is it. Virginia's stupid, boy. No, it's gonna be 80 on Thursday.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
What is wrong with the world? What's wrong with the world?
And not a big deal to some people, but the comments were made. We're talking about one of the oldest stadiums out there, 1924, I believe.
Oh man,
Soldier Field. And so they evidently have purchased some land. I think this is an old raceway or something. And there's talks about them building a new stadium, right? And while they still owe I think almost like $600 million, they owe a ton of money to the people for the renovations they were doing the Soldier Field. But what I'm talking about, we're talking about outside games. I know we all, or most of us, love to watch a good snow game. They built this new stadium in Chicago. It's just me personally. I ain't got to play there. I think it still need to be open. That's just me. What y'all think? I'm selfish. I don't give a damn, but I need that chance to know.
Everybody dies, but not everybody lives.
Amen to that.
What? It's cold outside.
What y'all think? Y'all think they need to put a dome on that stadium in Chicago or leave it open?
No, absolutely not. But then again, you're talking to somebody who still wants Super Bowls hosted in Green Bay. So I mean, like one of my favorite games of all time was the Ice Bowl. I was that nerd that was watching ESPN Classic, not ESPN. So I'm old school football. Like I believe they should be out there playing the weather. All this dome stuff is BS. I mean, it's nice for the creature comforts, but I mean, shoot, the NFL makes their money off the TV profits. The stadium profits aren't that high comparatively speaking. So I mean, but that's a whole nother podcast there. But yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of having some weather during my games. I mean, I know sometimes it's not any fun, but it adds a different dimension to the game that you don't normally get, and it's nice to mix things up a little bit.
Yeah, somebody on Twitter told me, "Yeah, but you don't live here. You ain't got to live here." Yeah, you're right. I don't.
I would live there if I was making what they were making. I go out there and make naked snow angels, no problem. Yeah, sign that check.
I don't see snowflakes in HD. You know what I'm saying?
From the comforts of your home.
Exactly.
Heated home.
But Source Lovely, I know you cool with leaving the dome on. You like snow game like me.
I like snow game, but can they get a retractable roof? Y'all got a retractable roof, right?
What?
Yeah, Dallas does. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey. Oh, they ain't got.
That's Dallas though.
But they ain't got
everybody else, bro.
You right.
Yeah, I think SoFi in Seattle has one. I don't remember who else though.
They said Jerry about to do I think at least another a few mil renovation to the stadium already. I'm like, yeah, what else can you do?
Jerry said he gonna do whatever he do while he here.
Hey, it's all good. I mean, it's better than having the rainwater rafters falling down at FedEx Field.
Yeah, pipe breaking, all that. That's first order of business.
Got me over there, got a lawyer up just to go see a Commanders game.
Hey, last thing.
Better call Saul.
Last thing with Justin Fields. Can you believe there's talk, people are speculating on whether or not they'll try to trade Justin Fields. They got the number 1 pick. Would you guys, after the season that he had last year, I granted most of it with his legs, but it was exciting. Would you guys pick another quarterback at number 1 if you were Chicago?
Nope.
No. What? Who out there? Jesus.
I don't know. They're number 1 pick.
Oh no. They say the next Patrick Mahomes and Bryce Young is there.
Bryce Young, and I don't know where they got this Richardson kid.
Oh gosh, don't get me started on him. Lord Jesus.
Florida,
Kevin Sheehan talking about him coming to Washington. I was like, stop.
Yeah, nah. You don't want them problems. You got C.J. Stroud at Ohio State, but you don't want Richardson. Ain't that good, bro. He ain't that good. But that's it. That's all I got, man. You guys got anything in closing?
I mean, if it's into the show, just a real quick plug,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, I got a new podcast over on the Spotify through the Anchor app. It's called the Smartphone GM Podcast. Also, check me out on Twitter at RealJustinRVA. I'm also going to the DC Defenders game. I love the XFL. I love what they're trying to do for the guys. Let these young guys get an opportunity. So I'll be going up there later on today. So if you check out the Twitter, I'll be posting, doing some live and all that jazz from there. That's all I got. And I appreciate y'all letting me on for sure.
No problem. Appreciate having you. We're gonna do it again.
Oh yeah, definitely. No doubt. Good time. It was a good time.
For the people before we roll out.
I'm sorry?
I asked a source, he got a thing for the people before we roll out.
Nope, I ain't got nothing for y'all. Nothing.
you going live today or not?
I can't. I'm suspended again, bro.
Yeah.
I can't. I made it 9 days without getting suspended, and that was like probably the record since October. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't even curse. I don't do anything. You've seen it. I don't do anything negative. I don't know what it is, but once we get to rolling,
Facebook be doing too much for real.
He talked too much. He playing too much hip hop. Got it. I see people out this joint. I say it all the time. I see people out here cussing people out, arguing about the most obscure things, and they never get suspended. And I stay suspended. So I don't know what I need to do, bro. I need to call somebody or pay somebody. I don't know, but we're gonna keep rocking. Tomorrow I'll be live though, after I think 6 o'clock, something like that.
All right, and I ain't gonna be doing nothing but drinking beer, so don't y'all gotta bother me. But anyway, appreciate y'all. We catch y'all next week. SBP Live, we out.
Gang,
Peace.